Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're going to take a little walk through the gardens. We have a beautiful day here today, and we actually had a thunderstorm roll through that was pretty bad yesterday. Luckily we didn't really have any problems. We kept all the animals safe. I actually put Mumbles and the ducks away for a little bit during the worst of the storm, and then I let them back out after during the rain. Luckily the greenhouse also made it through. The worst gust actually came down the front of the house and blew over my farm stand. Luckily it doesn't look like it got any damage. It broke a branch on the tree behind it, but I'll just get my brother's help to flip this over once he comes by. I built it pretty sturdy, so hopefully nothing broke. Huh, pup, you underneath the red maple tree? I know, it's got some weeds in there. I started doing some edging around here, but the battery died on the weed whacker, so I'll chop those down with the next battery, but the edging's starting to look good around the yard here. Now our mower's still down, so I'm gonna have to borrow my brother's mower again, so you can see all the dandelion heads are going to seed. And we're supposed to get rain tomorrow, so the grass is just gonna keep growing for a few days. I might be able to cut it this weekend. So in the meantime, I just like keeping the edges tight. Pup, so we gotta cut these weeds down on the next battery here. Actually behind Echo Pup, my neighbor gave me a bunch of daffodils I need to try and find a place for. Pretty much a wheelbarrow full of daffodils here, and then another bucket full that I got out of the front pot after we did the planting last video. So now I have to find a perennial spot for those in the landscape. Pup. The hostas and the lilies are coming in next to the driveway here. I started edging around the maple tree, and then we ran out of battery right here at the poplar. So the poplar bed over here needs some cleanup before we get the mulch down. I am hoping we get some fruit off the nectarine and the peach tree this year. But the food forest doesn't look like much right now. We have a bunch of different berries in there. That's why I call it the food forest. I do want to add some more fruit trees. I had a pomegranate tree. Unfortunately, that one died off. What's going on? You can't build a nest in there. Don't you do it. What are you doing? You singing? Sing your song. I hear ya. What are you yelling about? I hear you too. Alright, I hear ya. Don't scare the chickens. But the food forest is a work in progress. I just keep adding things as I can. But right here on the end of the island we have something blooming. This is the mountain ash tree, and it's just coming into bloom now. And the pollinators are finding it. We almost took this tree out a few years ago whenever it had a rot in the trunk, but we actually had a Y on the trunk and we cut the other Y off, and it's been doing a lot better since then. Oh, and the purple hyacinths are blooming. Whenever I add perennials to the garden, I try and get them in all the gardens so the whole property starts blooming all at once. I didn't go through and edge or weed out the island garden here. It's not a priority right now, but you will see some purple blooms. Gorgeous. These are actually scattered all around the property, at least one in each garden. And I do have to go through here and weed so I can actually see all my perennials and the hostas coming up in there. But the periwinkle vine and the goldenrod coming up is starting to give some blooms for all the pollinators. We still have some dandelions in there as well. Pup, I try to have some type of organization to the gardens, but I do like to let them go wild. We have the irises coming in here, and the first iris to bloom every year is this beautiful purple one. Look how full and gorgeous this is. I don't know what the name of this is. A lot of my plants I just got from other people that do gardening, and I didn't actually buy them from the store. So I don't have the official names for these, but this one always blooms before all the other ones. And it's so light purple that sometimes whenever the sun's coming through it, it looks blue. Pop. Easy in the gardens, bud. Oh, and we also have the allium just starting to come into bloom. We have the purple one right here. But we should also have some white ones coming through here. That's purple. The alliums look awesome. They're just little pom-pom balls popping up. I think the white ones actually bloom after the purple. Pop. But the perennial bloom is starting here on the peninsula of the island garden. Uh-oh. Bomber. Relax, Dabbles. They're not looking at you. Just hang out with your girl. Good. Love looking out at the duck pond and seeing the water flowing. Gorgeous. So the yards aren't looking awesome right now, but we are starting to get some blooms in the gardens. I don't have a lot going on the pond bank here just yet. And I was doing some weed whacking yesterday, so a lot of grass clippings got sucked into the filter here. Everything gets sucked down to the intake bay. And if I get the net out quick enough, I can go ahead and scoop all that out before it settles. Usually. But we do have some coming up here in the cold frame. Unfortunately, I don't think I got any of the carrots to germinate. I always have trouble with carrots. I'm still trying to figure them out. I do see some radishes coming up here and some greens in the front row. It might be time to sow another succession of radishes and the lettuce greens that I got. However, I'm not seeing any of the bunching onions. They were older seeds, so maybe I have to get some fresh onion seed. Every season comes with its own challenges. It's rarely boring working with nature. But the perennials on the bank are doing amazing right now. We have a lupin right here starting to put on some buds. I'm pretty sure all the lupin are going to be a beautiful purple and white color, and we have the columbine blooming. A beautiful purple as well. The columbine is actually a woodland perennial, but it's doing really good in the full sun here on the pond bank. And it spreads a little bit, but not too invasively, so you can pick up some volunteers and get them spread around the property. I bought 3 originally, but there are multiple ones I've already had spread out and planted. Just like all the lupins on the bank here, I actually threw some seeds down one year just before a 4th of July party to get some early flowers. And lupin was one of the seed packs I threw down. However, it took a full year to get established before it blooms. So I didn't have any blooms that first year, but the next year nothing else came back and it was just a beautiful big lupin on the pond bank here. Oh, I hear a frog. Oh, Echo Pup, you hear that frog too? Huh, pup, there's a frog croaking. But lupin is actually a short-lived perennial. It only lives about 3 to 4 years and then it dies off. So we had a beautiful show for about 3 or 4 years with that lupin, and now all these other lupins are the babies that sprung off of it during its seeding. And I keep leaving them go every time I weed the pond bank because they are beautiful. Now this other plant here is the bachelor button, and I had these planted here last year, so these are all freshly seeded. These aren't a perennial plant, but they do reseed nicely. And the bachelor button is one of the first things that starts to bloom and also has a nice bluish purple color to it. I really love all the purple and the yellows in the early part of the season. And this brightly colored yellow ground cover is the creeping Jenny. And it's been spreading here nicely, perfectly covering up all the edging, blending the ground right into the water here on the falls. I have it on both sides and it just blankets beautifully. It starts off more of a light green and then it turns to this bright yellow, and it even throws up some blooms in the summer too. And the tulips are starting to die back here. I do need to get over there and weed that bank so we can get all the fresh plants in there. That's going to be an annual side. We do have the one perennial, the big gladiola, that I'm glad to see that's coming back. That'll be a big beautiful red show. So we got to figure out what kind of annuals we want around it. But we got a good rain last night, so the pond is pretty much full, and it gets real cloudy after it rains because it's pumping all that water into the pond. And unfortunately, the geyser is on the fritz, so we have the Secret Falls number 11 backing it up. Still gorgeous. Oh, fishies, you want me to get you some feed? Hold on. Huh, Pop, the fish want fed today. It's hot. I got koi feed. Look how big you are, koi. Come on, you guys want to feed out of my hand? Yeah, there you go. I haven't done this year yet, and they're coming right up to me now. There you go, fishies. You koi are getting big. Look at that one. Like 10, 11 inches now. You guys are growing nicely. I'm gonna have to feed you more. Get some big fish in here, that'd be nice. There you go, goldfish. Yeah, Goldie Hawn. Yang. There's the bluegill, look at him. He's putting some size on. Gorgeous. Where's the bass, guys? There's another bluegill there. I don't see the bass right now. Oh, there he is. Those native fish blend in so well. Right there's the bass. See him? He's still growing in there. The only one I don't see right now is Julius, the orange koi. Where's the orange koi, guys? Look at that bass swimming next to them. Where's Julius? Hopefully he's alright. Not like them to not be together. Huh, Pop. Gonna have to keep an eye out for Julius. I don't see him right now. Now I did backfill the ditch line here, just got to get that all leveled out here before we can get the pebbles across it and get it all cleaned up. We have the ramp bed growing in nicely here. This is a spiderwort and hosta mixed. Nice purple flowers on both of them. We have the penstemon in the back. It's really good to see that that came back. Then we have the daylily in the middle. We have another hosta over there to add a splash of purple. Purple and orange is a great combination too. And then we have the row of irises, and I think I got those proper now. I actually had a wrong color iris in there before, but I think I have it all switched out to the same color, white and purple. So those should be good. I'm gonna have to get this tree out of here. It looks like we have a, what is that, a poplar? A poplar trying to grow in here. I didn't get the root. Gonna have to get that tree out of there. But we have the gladiola coming up. That's gonna be a nice late summer color once all these other plants die back. So to fill some space around that gladiola, I'll probably get some annuals in the front here as well. Maybe some that match the ones around that gladiola. Hump pup, tie things together. Now the white dogwood is blooming over here beautifully. Now this is actually another purple and white corner with the white dogwood over here. It's blooming right now beautifully. And it's usually the second thing to start blooming over here white. Right behind it is a white azalea. But unfortunately this year we had a late frost and the azaleas did not bloom. The azaleas actually need to be protected if we're gonna get a late frost, and I didn't get to either one of them. So the one out front, the big red one, that one didn't bloom either this year. Every year is different in gardening, even if you try and set up your garden the same. Now one thing that did start blooming before the dogwood even is this lungwort down here. Now the foliage is beautiful on this plant with the freckles that it produces on the leaves, but the blooms are some of the most beautiful in the garden. They are tiny, but it produces all the different shades of color from pink all the way to blue. I'll try and find a picture I have of it in full bloom, but this thing does get beautiful. And then to follow up later in the season, we have the hostas back here to put on a purplish color. I have a few speckled back here to get some depth in the garden. And then right underneath the white dogwood here, we have a white Shasta daisy that's going to produce a little bit later once it warms up. This corner gets the afternoon late sun, so I just wanted to brighten it up with some purples and whites. And we did get some branches down here after the storm. Good firewood under the maple. Now over here on the other side of the white dogwood, we actually have some hostas. They are also going to be blooming purple, and they have some white tinges to the leaves. And then we have this beauty over here right in the center of the arc of the hostas, and this thing actually has some beautiful little white blooms, but you have to get up in it to see them. I really like having things in the garden that you have to walk around to discover. Hump pop. No, don't mind the plants. You do you, bud. And this Solomon seal is a beautiful find. Now, like I said, we missed most of the heavy stuff of the storm, so this is the biggest dead branch that fell out of the tree, and I couldn't be happier that this is the only thing we have to pick up. Well, this and the farm stand. Hump up. Now, we do have some things starting in the side garden, but I'm still working on cleaning this one up. I didn't get any fresh mulch in there, and my battery died on the weed whacker right as I was getting this side cleaned up. So you can kind of see the difference here, what I'm going for. It's a process. But we're in progress. The limelight hydrangeas are looking big and green. Can't wait for them to start blooming. And it looks like the red bud's just finishing up its color. We do have all the hostas coming in out front. Unfortunately, my rhododendron died back. This was a paradise purple rhododendron with a gorgeous purple bloom this time of year. And it actually was blooming a little bit earlier than some of the other rhododendrons, getting all the morning and the late sun it gets. However, we have terrible soil over here, so I need to amend this area before I get a replacement. But the hostas are starting to come up over here in my hosta bed, a little bit fuller than they need to be this year because I never got in there to separate them. I put a lot of hostas over here because it's a nice north side of the house with a lot of shade, so they grow really nicely. This is the Empress Wu hosta, and you can see it got bit by the frost a little bit, but it's pushing through. The Empress Wu is actually the largest hosta in the world. It's going to get about 4 feet tall, so it takes up this area pretty good. And that's why I want to start splitting these up and getting them spread around the property so I can share the love with the other gardens. But early spring, late fall is the best window to transplant them and split them up, and I kind of missed my window. But we do have the native fern coming up in the back there. I dug up out of the woods at my brother's house. And I'd like to get some more of those so we can get those spread around in the different gardens that get a little bit too much shade for anything else. I really like ferns. I need to get more ferns. We did do some pots out front here on the driveway, and they're starting to look nice. One hanging basket broke off in the storm. Hump up, it's supposed to be hanging. But we're starting to get things looking nice here. Now I know after the storm we just had, a lot of trees got knocked down, so I'm hoping the tree trimming company is going to be driving by dropping off some free wood chips for me. I haven't got a fresh load of wood chips since we did the cleanup on the pergola garden here, and I'd really like to get this dressed over again. The white peony is coming up beautifully. I can't wait for this thing to bloom. It's usually one of the first peonies to bloom. Got the ants working on it already. There's a symbiotic relationship between the peony and the ants. Always remember that when you go in for a sniff. Now in front of the white peonies we have the red trumpet vine on the far left post of the pergola here, just starting to bud up. At the base of that we have one of the most fragrant flowers in the garden, and that is the stargazer pink lily. That's going to be more of a summer bloomer, but right in front of it we have the blue star Amsonia, which has gorgeous foliage. I just love brushing against it. It's kind of like a fern. But right now if you look closely, it is starting to bud up. Whenever I bought this from the nursery, it had a beautiful blue color. Every time it blooms here, it has a lighter blue, kind of almost whitish color. I don't know if I have the pH quite right for this plant. I'd like it to be a nice deeper blue like it was when I bought it. What are you yelling about, bud? I'm trying to get working on the bathtubs. There'll be a feature here one day. We have a lot of rabbits living around here. What are you trying to say? Now the gardens are never perfect. There's always something to do in them, but there's also always something to find and see. We have the silver lace green privacy wall finally coming in on this side of the pergola, and it's reaching across the archway. This always gives one of the most beautiful blooms and walkways through the property. And we have another stargazer pink lily here on this side of the pergola, so you can smell it on either side. We also have a giant yellow echinacea behind that, and that's always beautiful sticking up here next to the post. And look at this vine twisting on here. Gorgeous. We have the honeysuckle on the middle right post here responding well to the pruning. It'll be about 9 feet at the top. I am thinking about expanding the honeysuckle's trellis a little bit, closing off this entrance a little bit more. Because we have the sweet autumn clematis on this side, and then this grass is going to be growing up blocking this side. So I really want an entrance just in the middle. This sweet autumn clematis is doing pretty good, but it does need a little bit of help getting up the trellis. It does like to fall over and drape. If you don't do anything to it, it ends up looking like Cousin It. But inside the pergola, I'm trying to get some seating going here. We do have to add a little bit more supports here to the swing before we can sit down on this one. And this tea set over here is really just for show. But on the other side here, I definitely want to try and get a hammock in here. I already have a support up here. I just got to find my hammock. I think this would be a nice spot to sit and think. And that is one thing I really want to increase in the gardens here this year, seating. And I do want to try and do some natural seating. I don't want to just put chairs and benches up everywhere. I do have a bench over here in the island, but that one's pretty nice. I want them to be natural materials like concrete, stone, or wood. I have been thinking about some type of seating that wraps around the trunk of the red maple here for a while. We can get the bench and the hammock set up in the pergola, bench in the island. We already have a bench down here at the middle of the pond, but I want to add some seating down in the vegetable garden too. But we'll stop in the greenhouse and check and see how everything's growing in the containers, and then we'll go down and check and see how everything's growing in the vegetable garden. Come on, Pop. We're gonna wrap this up. Use the pathway. Good boy. Need to get a drink, bud? All for you. Oh, what's he yelling about now? Sounds like he's yelling from the stall. I don't know what he's doing. Mumbles is good though. Now I have the fan going in the greenhouse right now because it is a nice day. The only thing actually in there is the pumpkins. I don't want to have to try and carry those pumpkins in and out just yet. But we have the tomatoes, the peppers, the calendula flowers that we're going to get moved out to the gardens, and this tray of marigolds all out here in the sun. I didn't up pot the peppers and tomatoes yet. I do need to get a few of those in some larger containers because we can't get those in the garden just yet with the cold weather that we're expecting coming up. There is a common saying around here that you don't plant or paint outside in April. We get some nice days and it makes you think that you can get some things done, and then we get some rain and cold weather again. But we have the giants in the greenhouse right now adjusting to their new pots. We got them all up potted to these larger 12-inch containers. Everything seems to be looking good with them. Starting to put on some size. Well, this one has some yellow dots on it. A nitrogen deficiency? Shouldn't be. We have them in some Miracle Grow potting soil with some mushroom compost. And then we have the 4 backups over here. They're doing just fine, getting some size on them. Crank his fan up a little bit more, get some air moving. And then the last big orange did pop up in the cup. 2 of the Bobo Max did not pop, but this one was the 9th one that popped up, so I need to get this one up potted too as a backup and possibly even give that one away. You start telling people you're growing pumpkins, everybody starts wanting a pumpkin. Pop. I know, this grass is high. Now I have some work to do in the front garden here, but I think I'm actually gonna, once I get all this cleaned up, I think this is where the purple gladiolas you guys sent in are gonna go. I already have a red hibiscus right here at the entrance. I think if I put all the purple gladiolas around it, it's gonna look beautiful in the summer. The grass is looking good on the island. Look at that. Wonder if those killdeer are gonna hatch out some eggs this year. I've been giving them all the chance in the world. They just don't pick the smartest nesting spots. But coming into the vegetable garden here, the hostas are coming up, and in the pollinator ring, we have the beautiful purple hyacinths blooming. I think all the way around the ring. Gorgeous. I really wish I got the black mulch in there before these bloomed. And I've been harvesting the asparagus out of this bed, getting a good handful. I actually got about 2 serving sizes for me and my parents to have for dinner. And there are still some coming up, but I think I'm gonna leave the rest go to let fern out. You don't wanna harvest all the asparagus, you wanna let some fern out so they can get energy for next year's harvest. So some of these late bloomers we're gonna let go. That's the lucky one. And a couple of these thick ones too. What bird? What are you squawking about? Those ducks aren't in distress. You don't need to rescue them. I did get in here and hand weed out all the onions, the greens, and the garlic. This bed's looking a lot better. It's almost time to harvest those greens over there, maybe even get some pea shoots. The onions are still looking good, and we did have some luck with the garlic coming up. I didn't plant a lot of garlic this year, but I was really late in getting it in. I wasn't even sure if it was gonna come up. Now that I know that it came up, I know next year I can plant some more if I end up late again. But I think I planted enough onions. If everything goes good with the harvest and the storage, we should have enough onions till next season. What are you doing, pup? Making it safe? Good. Yeah. And we do have some other blooms coming up over here. The white iris has bloomed. These are the only white irises I have on the property. These ones are actually all white. And we have these white irises on either side of the empress tree, just looking gorgeous. And I do have other various perennials scattered around this empress tree, so once the blooming starts, it lasts all season long. As long as I can manage some of the weeds in this ground cover coming up. I don't know what this ground cover is, but it takes over everywhere. I ended up getting it from digging up hostas from a friend's garden, and it came in the root ball. Very unfortunate, and probably not worth the free plant. Pop. On a brighter side, the cabbage is looking really good. We went through and got all the leaves picked off of it that were dying off after the transplant. And I am looking at this and I see some holes in this leaf right here. Let me go ahead and get rid of this one. But we don't want these holes in the cabbage. And these holes are actually coming from this little bug right here. You see that? See that caterpillar? That is from the caterpillar moth, the little white moth that flutters around here. We want to get rid of that guy. And I said in my last video I'm going to have to get the BT spray out. We had a thunderstorm last night, so I didn't want to spray it and just waste it because it will wash off in the rain. But the BT spray is a natural bacteria that goes onto the leaf, and whenever the caterpillar eats the leaf, it goes into their digestion system and messes things up for them. That's a really good way to take care of the caterpillar without doing anything to the bees flying around, because the bees aren't eating the leaf, so they're not going to have any problem with the bacteria. But I'm going to have to get the BT spray out here and try and protect my cabbage, or my future sauerkraut. We also got the potatoes planted over here in the 2 straight beds this year. I think I did the Yukon Gold in this bed and the russets in this bed. It's not a big deal if we get them mixed up, but we have been learning that the russets are working better for French fries and the Yukon Gold are a little bit better for baked potatoes. We got everything watered in and planted here. I think I did 10 pounds in each bed, so we're just gonna have to wait and see what we get. And I think I did see one starting to pop up here somewhere, so I put the hay across here already. And I have some more hay here I can keep hilling as they grow. But the growing season is here. We're trying to get everything set up and ready for it. The leaves are coming on the trees already. The honey locust is just gorgeous this time of year. And I would like to get some more trees out in the field. Pop. Where you going? You do you, bud. There's a lot of plans I want to do in the south garden out there. and around the duck pond once we get the digging finished. But it's a process, and I'm bringing you along for it. I'm getting the pumpkin patch ready here for the planting. It doesn't look like we're going to be planting this week though. The ground temperature in the soil is up over 70 degrees, but ideally I would like to tighten up the fencing around the patch here before we get the pumpkin in. I have a lot of fencing I want to get in, but I do want to wrap the whole perimeter of the property. So that way whenever I have the birds out to the pond, I don't have them exposed to any of the neighborhood dogs. But I also want to tighten up the vegetable garden here to try and protect my plants and my pumpkins. The rabbits really did some damage last year. But things are coming together here in the vegetable garden. We're getting our staples in: the onion, the garlic, the greens, the cabbage, and the potatoes. And the tomatoes, peppers, zooks, and cukes are coming next. Hump pop. I thought for sure he was thirsty. I thought you were thirsty going to the pond. You just can't walk a straight line? All right, pup, come to the shade. Good. Puppy, good boy. All right, that's gonna be all for this one. This was just a little garden walkthrough showing you what's going on here at the end of April. And a lot of gardening happens in May, so make sure to subscribe down below so you can follow along with all the gardening projects and the next tour we have in May. Hump up.